Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another video. Today, my name is Chris, and we're once again taking a look at the map of the non-liquidating Sears and Kmart stores. This map, yes, has been updated as of Saturday, June 19th, 2021. So we have 18 Kmarts and 26 Sears and Roebuck stores. Combine both numbers together and you get approximately 44 non-liquidating Sears and Kmart stores. So before we use the map and go over the stores store by store, it's important to take a look at the list of the non-liquidating Sears and Kmart stores. So these are the following stores. The locations are as follows. The Kmart store in Guam, which is freestanding. The Kmart store in Grass Valley, California, at the McKnight Crossing Shopping Center in Grass Valley, California. That is the last Kmart store in the state of California that is not liquidating. The Kmart store in Key West, Florida, at the Plaza Shopping Center in Key West, Florida, the last Kmart store in the Key region of Florida. The Kmart store in Miami, Florida, at the Kendall Lakes Plaza Shopping Center is the last Kmart store on mainland Florida. The Kmart store in Marshall, Michigan, at the Marshall Plaza Shopping Center in Marshall, Michigan, is the last Kmart store in the state of Michigan and the last Transformco property owned in the state of Michigan, given that Westland, Michigan, Sears and Roebuck is now closing. The Kmart store in Hamilton, Montana at the Bitterroot Valley Shopping Center in Hamilton, Montana is the last Kmart store in the state of Montana. In my home state of New Jersey, we have the Kmart store in Avenel, New Jersey at the Delco Plaza Shopping Center, which is the only Kmart in the state of New Jersey to operate 7 days a week. And that is also just a little bit north of the Woodbridge Center Mall and is the last Kmart store in the central region of New Jersey. The Kmart store in Westwood, New Jersey at the Westwood Plaza Shopping Center in Westwood, New Jersey is the last Kmart store in North Jersey and the last Kmart store in Bergen County, New Jersey. And not only that, but this particular Kmart store out of the 18 is required to be closed on Sundays because of the Bergen County Blue Laws that prevents all non-essential retailers from operating on that day. This is the only Kmart that is the only one that does not operate on Sundays, while the rest of the 17 do operate on Sundays. This does not affect Sears, though, as there are no more Sears and Roebuck stores in Bergen County, New Jersey. The Sears store in Bridgehampton, New York at the Bridgehampton Commons, but by the way, before I go on, the Kmart at Westwood is at the Westwood Plaza Shopping Center, if I didn't mention that already. In Westwood, New Jersey. Okay, so moving on. The Kmart store in Bridgehampton, New York at the Bridgehampton Commons Shopping Center in Bridgehampton, New York is the last Kmart store on Long Island. The Bronx, New York Buccaneer Boulevard is the last two-level Kmart store in the Bronx. And the Kmart store at the Big Plaza Shopping Center, also in the Bronx, is the last one-level Kmart in the Bronx. Meanwhile, the Kmart in New York City, New York at Astor Place is the last Kmart store in the borough of Manhattan and the last multi-level one in Manhattan as well. The Kmart store in White Plains, New York at the Crossroads Shopping Center in White Plains, New York is the last Kmart store in the Hudson Valley region of New York State. The Kmart store in Hato, Puerto Rico at Plaza Las Americas Shopping Center is the last Kmart store in Puerto Rico. St. Croix Virgin Islands Sunshine Mall and also St. Croix Virgin Islands Sunny Isles Shopping Center. And the other Virgin Island territory where there's two Kmart stores is the St. Thomas Virgin Islands Tutu Park Mall and the St. Thomas Lockhart Garden Shopping Center. So that's approximately 18 non-liquidating Kmart stores. Meanwhile, as we move on to Sears, we have 6 Sears stores. I know, it's really just a very uneven contrast. There's still 6 Sears stores in California, and now there's only 1 Kmart in California, sadly, with the announcement of South Lake Tahoe and Freedom closing by Sunday, August 22nd, 2021. Anyways, moving on to Sears. So Sears, we have the Sears. These are all Sears and Roebuck stores, but I'm just going to call them Sears stores anyway, but they are all Sears and Roebuck stores. So the Sears store in Burbank, California at the Burbank Town Center. The Sears store in Concord, California at the Sun Valley Shopping Center. The Sears store in Downey, California at the Stonewood Center. The Sears store in Pasadena, California the Sears store in Pasadena, California at Hastings Ranch Plaza. The Sears store in Stockton, California at Webster Town Mall. And finally, the Sears store in Whittier, California at the Whitwood Town Center. The Sears store in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and the Sears store in Miami, Florida are the last 2 freestanding Sears stores in the state of Florida. And the Sears store in Orlando, Florida at the Florida Mall, and the Sears store at the Palm Beach Gardens Mall the Sears store at the Gardens Mall in Palm Beach, Florida, and the Florida Mall in Orlando, Florida are the last 2 Sears stores within the state of Florida to be connected to a mall. The Sears store in Kaluli, Hawaii at the Queen Kamau Center is the last Sears store in Hawaii. The Sears at the Woodfield Mall in Schaumburg, Illinois is the last Sears store in the Midwest region and in the state of Illinois, and the last transfer from Co. property in the state of Illinois. Braintree, Massachusetts, the Sears store in Braintree, Massachusetts, at the South Shore Plaza is the last Sears store and last Transform the last Transform Co. owned property in the New England region is the Sears store at the South Shore Plaza in Braintree, Massachusetts. In the state of Maryland, it's the Sears store at the Francis Scott Key Mall in Frederick, Maryland. That is the last Sears store in the state of Maryland. In my home state of New Jersey, we have the Sears store at the Newport Center Mall in Jersey City, New Jersey is the last Sears store within the state of New Jersey. The Sears store in Brooklyn, New York, which is a freestanding Sears store with a Kmart, that does not count as a Kmart, it's a Kmart department within the Sears store, is a freestanding Sears store, and it's the last Sears store within New York City. The Sears store in Massapequa, New York at Sunrise Mall NY is the last Sears store on Long Island. The Sears store in Newburgh, New York at the Newburgh Mall in Newburgh, New York is the last Sears store in the Hudson Valley region of New York State, so it's 3 Sears stores left in New York State. The Sears store in Greensboro, North Carolina is at Friendly Center, which is a freestanding shopping center. And the Sears, that's in Greensboro, by the way, and the Sears in Raleigh, North Carolina at Triangle Town Center is the last enclosed mall to have a Sears connected to it. That's in Raleigh, North Carolina. There are no more multi-level Sears stores in Pennsylvania, as there are now only 2. The Sears store in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania at the Colonial Park Mall is a 1-level Sears store. And the Sears store at the Willow Grove Park Mall in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania has been downsized, sadly, to 1 floor, so they no longer are using the 2nd floor in that store. And finally, we have the Sears store in San Juan, Puerto Rico at Plaza Las Americas Mall. The Sears store in El Paso, Texas, that's just at the Cielo Vista Mall. And then finally, we have the 2 Sears stores left in Washington State, which include Tuckawilly, Washington at Westfield South Center, the last Sears store to be at a Westfield Mall, because Westfield Sunrise was sold, so Tuckawilly, Washington is the last Westfield Mall to have a Sears and Roebuck store or a Sears store. And finally, the other Sears store in Washington State is at the Valley Mall, is the Sears store at the Valley Mall in Union Gap, Washington. So those are all the Sears stores on this list, and I will be linking this list in the video description below so you guys can check it out. It's a pretty good list, and it shows there are now 18 Kmarts left, 26 Sears stores. Combine both numbers together, and you get approximately 44 non-liquidating Sears and Kmart stores combined. That was a mouthful. Anyways, so we're going to go on to the maps now. So we'll start off here. We'll go from west to east. This is the first Kmart store, and this is the Kmart store that is located in Guam. It's pretty close, actually, to Antonio B. Juan Pat Airport. I think that's the only Kmart store that's pretty close to an airport. Well, given that the island's pretty small, it does not surprise me. Now, this Kmart is not at any shopping center. It is a freestanding Kmart, but the Kmart in Guam is the most western one, I believe, after Australia. I know Australia, it's pretty close, but Kmart Australia does good, like Sears Mexico. But anyways, moving on. So that's the Kmart in Guam. So as we move east towards the United States, the first Sears that we're going to hit is the last Sears store in the state of Hawaii. And this is located at the Queen Kamamumu Center. I probably pronounced that wrong. And this is in Kalui, Hawaii. And that's the last Sears store in the state of Hawaii. That is the last one, and after that one closes, there will be no more Transform Co. owned properties within the state of Hawaii. So moving on to our next section of stores, we're going to hit the Sears store, in the last Sears store in the Seattle metropolitan area, and this is at the Westfield South Center Mall. This is in Seattle, Washington. This is a pretty prominent mall, and I could see Transform Co. easily shutting down this store, sadly, down the road, just given the mall's pretty valuable, just given the geographical location, and I could very well see another retailer picking up that Sears store and putting some kind of entertainment thing. But this is the last Sears store at a Westfield-owned property. Okay, so moving on. Next, we're going to hit the Sears store in Union Gap, Washington. And this is at the, what's it called? Give me 1 second. This is at the Valley Mall in Union Gap, Washington. This mall has a Sears, a Kohl's, and a Macy's. That other mall has a bunch of other anchor tenants too. So I wouldn't be surprised if this one is the next to go, because this is at the Union Gap, Washington mall, has a much older Sears logo compared to the one at Westfield South Center. We'll take a quick look and see what other tenants are here that this one might very well exit. There's a Macy's, I think there's a grocery store here, Penny's, and I believe there's there's a Nordstrom here too. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sears were to exit Westfield South Center and took a Willie, Washington state, the town rather. So anyways, moving on to our next store, and this is the Kmart store in Hamilton, Montana. This is the last Kmart store in this region of the United States, and unfortunately, this Kmart store in particular is located at the Bitterroot Valley Shopping Center, a very unique name for a shopping center, rather. And this one is the last store with the vintage logo. So once this goes, that's the end of any Kmart store with a vintage logo. It'll be really sad when Hamilton, Montana does go, but we know the day is coming. We know the day is coming for all these stores. We just don't know the matter. The question is when, and when will they close? So anyways, moving down the west coast of the United States, we will hit. This is the last Kmart in California, and this Kmart in California is at the McKnight Crossing Shopping Center in Grass Valley, California. This is the last non-liquidating Kmart in California, given that South Lake Tahoe, California, and Freedom, California Kmarts are both closing on Sunday, August 22nd, 2021. So that is the last Kmart store within the big state of California. But meanwhile, Sears has a much bigger presence in California now than Kmart. I don't know how that happened, but South Lake Tahoe was rumored to close for months. Apparently, Target's expected to be taking the place. Freedom was interesting, but I kind of knew that South Lake Tahoe was going to be the next to go. I was speculating that for a very long time, and I predicted correctly that it was going to close, so that's pretty good. Anyway, so moving on to Sears. So we have the Sears store in Concord, California, and this is at the Sun Valley Shopping Center in Concord, California. This is the last Sears store that is located just outside of San Francisco. The last one that is within reach of the San Francisco area. The last Kmart near Sacramento is Grass Valley, and the last Sears store that is near Sacramento is in Stockton, California. And also, I guess too, you technically could say it's within reach of the San Francisco area. And this is the Sears store in Stockton, California. This is at the Webstertown Mall in Stockton, California. And the Sears in Concord, California is at the Sun Valley Shopping Center. So those are the last two Sears stores that are near Sacramento and San Francisco and San Jose too, if you really want to throw that in there. Meanwhile, as we go more south of the west coast of the United States, we hit Los Angeles, which still has 4 Sears stores, probably the only metropolitan area to have the most. So this is the Sears store in Burbank, California, and the Sears store in Burbank, California, this is located at the Burbank Town Center, and this is one of 4 remaining Sears stores left in the greater Los Angeles area. And then we move a little bit east to the Sears in Pasadena, California, and this is located the Sears in Pasadena, California is a freestanding Sears store that is located at Hastings Ranch Plaza in Pasadena, California. Okay, so we move along a little bit south, just passing the greater Los Angeles, or basically passing center city of Los Angeles. We hit the Sears store in Downey, California, and this is at the Stonewood Center in Downey, California. This mall has a Sears, a Macy's, a JCPenney, and a Kohl's. Something very hard to come by nowadays. We do have the same thing in Jersey City, but still pretty hard to come by. Again, this is the Sears store in Downey, California, that is not closing yet. And finally, the last Sears store in the greater Los Angeles area is at the Whitwood Town Center in Whitwood, California. At one point, Whitwood was an actual mall, and you can tell by how the JCPenney and the Sears store were lined up. So at one point, this was a mall, but they have redeveloped it since into a more of a friendly strip mall kind of center. But this is at the Whitwood Town Center in Whittier, California. So that's all the Sears and Kmart stores within the state of California. 6 Sears stores and only 1 Kmart store left. So as we move along a little bit down the Rust Belt of the United States region, we hit the Sears store in El Paso, Texas. This is the last Sears store within the state of Texas, just because of Sears Mexico, because Sears Mexico does very well. This is at the Cielo Vista Mall in El Paso, Texas. So that's probably why, given relatively speaking, this Sears store does very well. And Sears Mexico might very well buy the Sears store in El Paso, Texas. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, there's some reason that they're keeping El Paso open, and it definitely has to do with Sears Mexico. So, Okay, so before we shoot back up, we're actually going to shoot down from Texas, down to the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, and then we're going to go up the coast. We're going to go Florida, and then we're going to go Midwest. Yeah, I'm going to go in some way. But anyways, moving on from the Sears in El Paso, Texas, at the Cielo Fisda Mall. So the first, we're going to move on to the Virgin Islands. So we're going to first take a look at the St. Thomas Virgin Islands, I believe. And this Kmart store is located, this is on the, oh no, St. Croix, sorry, my apologies. The St. Croix Virgin Islands Kmart store, rather. This is the Kmart that's located at the Sunny Isle Shopping Center, rather. And that is one of two Kmarts left on the St. Croix Virgin Islands. It still is not yet rumored to be closing. And then this is the other Kmart store, and this is at the Sunny Isle. Okay, sorry, that was at the Sunny. Okay, this one's at the Sunny Isle Shopping Center. And the other one, the previous one that we just took a look at, was at the Sunshine Mall. So my apologies. So this is Sunny Isle Shopping Center, this Kmart right here, and this is the Sunshine Mall, this one. So my apologies. So Sunshine Mall and Sunny Isle, Sunshine Mall and Sunny Isle Shopping Center. Those are the two Kmarts on the St. Croix Virgin Islands. Now, as we go a little bit north to the St. Thomas Virgin Islands of the United States territory, we will first hit this Kmart, and this Kmart is at the Lockhart Gardens Shopping Center. Again, just a basic shopping center, rather. And then the other Kmart store, and this is located at the Tutu Park Mall, also located on the St. Thomas Virgin Islands territory of the United States. So Tutu Park Mall, and this one is Lockhart Garden Shopping Center, both located on the St. Thomas Virgin Islands territory of the United States of America. So as we go a little bit west, we're going to hit Puerto Rico, and the only Sears and Kmart stores left in Puerto Rico are both located literally like right across the street from each other. That's very rare to see that nowadays. Puerto Rico has kind of the last of that. This one's located at Plaza Las Americas, which is a strip mall that has a Kmart and Office Max, and looks like a Rooms to Go, something that's not in the United States. And the Sears store is located at the Plaza Las Americas Mall, and this is located in San Juan, Puerto Rico, which also has a Macy's and a JCPenney store. So both located pretty close to each other. These are both the last Kmart and Sears stores within the United States territory of Puerto Rico. So as we move along west, we're going to hit the great state of Florida, and the first Kmart that we can see is the Kmart store in Key West, Florida, and this is at the Key Plaza Shopping Center in Key West, Florida. This is the last Kmart store within the Key West region of the state of Florida, and it is most likely, if the store or when the closure announcement does come along, Publix Supermarket will most likely be the tenant to take that former space of the Kmart store, just given that Kmart has a bigger space and Publix has a smaller supermarket space. They're doing the same thing with the former Key Largo Kmart. It's just smart for a supermarket to expand, as supermarkets are a very high growing demand thing, so it would not surprise me if that does happen when the Kmart at Key West does eventually, or they make the announcement that the Kmart in Key West, Florida is going to close. So moving along to the mainland of the United States, and we hit the Kmart store in Miami, Florida. This is in the outskirts of Miami, Florida, by the way. And this Kmart that is located in Miami, Florida, is located at the Kendall Lakes Plaza Shopping Center. And this is the last Kmart store on the mainland of Florida, as the other one is in Key West, Florida, which is on an island region of the state of Florida. Okay, so moving on, the next store that we're going to hit is the Sears store in Miami, Florida, and this is a freestanding Sears store, something very rare to come by nowadays. Now, this store is either 2 levels or 3 levels. I don't know the exact amount, but this Sears store in Miami, Florida does have an elevator, and it is freestanding. That's the description right there, freestanding. Okay, so as we move along up the east coast of Florida, we hit the Sears store in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and this is another freestanding Sears store. It is part of a plaza. I guess it's technically, but the plaza really doesn't have a name, so I'm just going to say it's a freestanding one. But yeah, this is a freestanding Sears. This is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So that's pretty cool, I guess. And again, it is freestanding, but it is there's just no name for the plaza, which is a shame. But anyways, so moving up the coast, the east coast of Florida or the greater Miami area, we hit the Sears store in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And this Sears store, Sears and Roebuck store rather, is located at the Gardens Mall in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And the other Sears store in Florida within the state of Florida to be connected to a mall in the state of Florida is at the Florida Mall in Orlando, Florida. And there it is, at the Florida Mall with the Crayola experience, and this Sears store still remains in Orlando, Florida. So Florida is home to 4 Sears stores, which is the second most amount after California, which that's a pretty interesting fact too. Okay, so before we go up the rest of the East Coast of the United States, let's go ahead and go a little bit to the upper Midwest region of the United States, and this is it. These are the only 2 stores left in the upper West Mid region of the United States. So we have the Sears store at the Woodfield Mall in Schaumburg, Illinois. This is the last Sears store within the state of Illinois and the last Sears store in the Midwest region of the United States. Very sad. Given with the announcement of the Westland, Michigan store, this is the last Sears store in the upper Midwest region of the United States. And from what I hear, corporate sends a lot of stuff to this store to be liquidated without the store physically liquidating. So my guess is the Sears store at the Woodfield Mall in Schaumburg, Illinois will probably be one of the very last Sears stores to actually liquidate, given that Hoffman Estates headquarters is in Illinois, which is the company that owns both Sears and Kmart. It's transfer codes, all the same crap at this point. Okay, so as we move along, as we are going across Lake Michigan, which borders Chicago in the state of Michigan, we hit the Kmart in Marshall, Michigan. Unfortunately, as we all know, the Sears Westland, Michigan closure was announced on Thursday, so now Kmart in Marshall, Michigan is the last Transform Co. owned property in the state of Michigan, and this is at the Marshall Plaza Shopping Center in Marshall, Michigan. So very sad to see the Marshall, Michigan Sears closing. The Westland, Michigan Sears is closing. But the Kmart in Marshall, Michigan is the last Transform Co. owned property within the state of Michigan. Okay, so moving along here, because we still have a couple of more stores to cover, we're going to go back down to North Carolina, and we have the Sears store in Greensboro, North Carolina. And this is at the Friendly Center Shopping Center, which probably was a mall at one point and it got redeveloped most likely, or it was always a freestanding one, or no, it probably became a freestanding one. Looks like they sold off some property to Amazon, so that does not surprise me. But this has been remodeled, and it is a freestanding. I believe it's the last freestanding Sears within the state of North Carolina. This is at the Friendly Center Shopping Center in Greensboro, North Carolina. So moving east of that Sears in still within the state of North Carolina, we have the Sears store in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Triangle Town Center in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is the very last Sears store within the state of North Carolina to be connected to a mall. This is very significant. Because this is the last Sears store within the state of North Carolina to be connected to a mall, and the last multi-level one. Or I'm sorry, both are multi-level. But this last Sears store in the state of North Carolina to be connected to a mall. Okay, so after taking a look at that store, we're going to move a little bit up the east coast of the United States, and the next store we're going to hit is the Sears store in Frederick, Maryland at the Francis Scott Key Mall. This is the last Sears store. Unfortunately, within the state of Maryland, there is no more multi-level Sears stores. This Sears store in Frederick, Maryland is 1 level. It could be 2 levels. I'm not 100% on that, but I do believe that this Sears store in Frederick, Maryland is approximately 1 level. So that is the last Sears store at the Francis Scott Key Mall. The Sears store at the Francis Scott Key Mall in Frederick, Maryland is the last Sears store within the state of Maryland. Okay, so moving on from that, we're going to hit the Sears store at the Colonial Park Mall in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This is the last Sears store within the greater area of Harrisburg, rather. And again, this is at the Colonial Park Mall, which is located in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This store has yet to make an announcement about a closing. So yeah, that's basically it. It's a one-level Sears store, no elevator, just a one-level Sears store. But this store also too has significantly been downsized, so it might very well close down the road. Of course, sadly. And of course, the last major significant update is the Sears store in Media, Pennsylvania. That store is no more. Store closing sales did begin Thursday, June 17th, 2021, and will be concluding by Sunday, August 22nd, 2021, which means the only other Sears store within the state of Pennsylvania is at the Willow Grove Park Mall in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, and it has been downsized significantly. They do not use the upstairs anymore. This is the Sears store at the Willow Grove Park Mall in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, and they have significantly downsized the Sears store significantly, and they no longer use the second floor, so that means the elevator, they no longer use the elevator. I mean, you get, I guess, maybe for restrooms, but there's no merchandise on the main sales floor of that Sears at the Willow Grove Park Mall in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. All right, so as we move on to my home state of New Jersey, we have the Kmart store in Avenel, New Jersey, which is just north of Menlo Park Mall and Woodbridge Center Mall. And this is at the Delco Plaza Shopping Center in Avenel, New Jersey. This Kmart store is the only Kmart store within the state of New Jersey to operate 7 days a week, as the other Kmart store, which we're going to get to in New Jersey in a couple of minutes, does not operate 7 days a week. This is the only Kmart store left in Central Jersey and the only Kmart store within the state of New Jersey to operate 7 days a week. And again, the Kmart store in Avenel, New Jersey is located at the Delco Plaza Shopping Center in Avenel, New Jersey. So as we move up north, we're next going to hit the Sears and Roebuck store, or the Sears store rather. This is at the Newport Center Mall in Jersey City, New Jersey. The anchor tenants at this mall are Kohl's, Macy's, JCPenney, and of course Sears. This is the last Sears store within the state of New Jersey. The last time Sears closed a store in the state of New Jersey was on Sunday, September 13th, 2020, with the closure of the Rockaway Town Square store. It means that the Sears in Jersey City is the only one left, and they also closed Hackensack too, but that had to close a day early because of the Bergen County Blue Laws. That was that big Sears in downtown Hackensack, New Jersey. Unfortunately, that had to close on Saturday, September 12th, 2020, because of the Bergen County Blue Laws, which prevents all non-essential retailers from operating on Sundays, which means now we're left with just the Sears at the Newport Center Mall in Jersey City, New Jersey, within the state of New Jersey. Okay, so we're going to go across the Hudson River, and just across the Hudson River that borders New York and New Jersey, we have the Kmart store. This is in Astor Place, which has the number 6 line on the Lexington Avenue line, and this is the last Kmart store within New York City. This is in Astor Place, and this Kmart has yet to announce a closing. This is the last Kmart to in the New York City borough of Manhattan. Okay, so moving south to the Sears store in Brooklyn. This is in the Flatbush neighborhood of Brooklyn. This is a freestanding Sears store. But there is a Kmart on the lower level of this freestanding Sears store in Brooklyn. However, it is not a Kmart store. It does not count as a Kmart store. I don't care what anybody says. It is not a Kmart store. Not a Kmart store, because it has an hourly wage manager, and it does not count, as it is not a freestanding Kmart store. It is a department within a store. The same thing can be said for a Macy's and a Macy's Backstage. It doesn't really count as a Macy's Backstage because it's a store within a store. So Sears, it's like Sears would be the Macy's, Macy's Backstage would be like the Kmart. That's the only way to compare it, really. Anyways, moving on from the Sears in Brooklyn, it's a pretty cool one too. I'm not gonna lie, it's a very cool looking Sears store. It's probably one of the last retro-looking cool ones. Is there? Yeah, like I said, it's a Kmart within a Sears store. It's not a Kmart store. This is not a Kmart store. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But it's a pretty cool... This is probably the last cool Sears store in the fleet. And after the Sears in Brooklyn closes, that's it, because Boyle Heights also closed as well. Same can be said for Hackensack. Okay, so as we move along to Long Island, we hit the Sears store in Massapequa, New York at Sunrise Mall NY. And this is the last Sears store on Long Island. Couple of facts. Number one, they've downsized the store significantly, so they're on 2 sales floors instead of 3 sales floors. Also, the Sears Auto Center at the Sunrise Mall NY in Massapequa, New York, also has closed as well, so the 2-level Sears does remain. So this Sears is sticking around for a while, but given that the mall was just bought by Urban Edge, I don't see Sears sticking around for much longer in Massapequa. Okay, so as we move east on Long Island, we're going to hit the Kmart store at the Bridgehampton Commons in Bridgehampton, New York. This is the last Kmart store on Long Island, and I could very well see Target picking up this Kmart store down the road, just given that Target would like that Kmart store. And also interesting, this is the Martha, because I guess Martha Stewart lived out on Long Island, so this was probably the Martha Stewart Kmart. It probably did really well with Martha Stewart, because I think Martha Stewart was like, my guess was she had a house out in the Hamptons, so that's probably why. But times have changed, sadly, since then. Okay, so as we boomerang back to New York, we still have a couple more Kmarts to take a look at. This is the first. We're going to take a look at the Kmart store on Buccaneer Boulevard in the Bronx. And this used to be a Caldor store back in the day. This became a Kmart in the late 90s and the early 2000s. Okay, and then the other Kmart store in the Bronx. This is at the Mall at Bay Plaza in the Bronx, and this is the only one-level Kmart store in the Bronx as well. Lots of retail. I could very well see this Kmart closing down the road. Excuse me. Okay, so moving on. Next, we're going to hit the Kmart in Westwood, New Jersey at the Westwood Plaza Shopping Center in Westwood, New Jersey. This is located in North Jersey. The last Kmart in North Jersey and the last Kmart in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is at the Westwood Plaza in Westwood, New Jersey. This Kmart is the only Kmart store within the state of New Jersey to operate 6 days a week, because on Sundays we have this thing called the Bergen County Blue Laws. And in Bergen County, you cannot sell clothing, electronics, and furniture. There's a whole list of things, but you cannot sell cosmetics, furniture, clothing, and I even think toys and games. You cannot sell that on Sundays in Bergen County. So this Kmart store on Sundays is required to close, because all non-essential retailers within Bergen County, New Jersey are required to be closed. Again, this Kmart store is located at the Westwood Plaza Shopping Center in Westwood, New Jersey. This is the last Kmart for North Jersey and the last Kmart for Bergen County, New Jersey. Okay, so moving on from the Kmart in Westwood, New Jersey and Bergen County, we go across once again on the Hudson River, and we hit the Kmart store, which is located in the Crossroads Shopping Center in White Plains, New York. And this is one of 3 Kmarts left in New York State to actually have a Little Caesars, where the guy says pizza, pizza. He says like pizza, pizza. And they have it at this one in White Plains, New York. And they also have it in the Bronx, too. I believe both of them in the Bronx, or maybe at least one of them in the Bronx, has a Little Caesars where you can get your pizza fix of Little Caesars. So that's the last Kmart store in the Hudson Valley region of New York State that's located in White Plains, New York. The Sears store did sadly close in White Plains, New York. Sunday, January 24th, 2021 was the final day of operation for that store. Okay, so we're down to the last 2 stores to hit. We have the Sears store in Newburgh, New York, and this is at the Newburgh Mall in Newburgh, New York. They're expected to be putting a casino in this mall, so I could very well see Sears closing their Newburgh store down the road. Again, Sears Newburgh, New York is the last Sears store in the Hudson Valley region of New York State. And again, this is the mall, but they're expected to be putting a casino here, so I could very well see Sears pulling out of the mall down the road. So. And finally, the last non-liquidating Sears store in the within the United States is located in the South Shore Plaza in Braintree, Massachusetts. Although sadly, they do have a rug department at this store, so most likely this store's days are numbered as well. Sadly, given that they already have a rug department here, I could very well see someone picking up this store down the road. I just don't see this store in Braintree, Massachusetts lasting for much longer. So again, this is the Sears store, the last Transform Co-owned property in the New England region of the United States, and the last Transform Co-owned property within the state of Massachusetts, and the last Sears store within the state of Massachusetts. So there's a lot of lasts with this one in Braintree. So, and anyways, we'll take one more quick look at the list of the liquidating stores before we wrap up this video of all the non-liquidating Sears and Kmart stores. So give me 1 second, guys. So again, these are the following stores that are going to be closing Sunday, August 22nd, 2021. The Kmart store in Freedom, California at the Freedom Center, the Kmart store in South Lake Tahoe at the Southwest Shopping Center, and the Sears stores at the Westland Shopping Center in Westland, Michigan, and the Sears store at the Promenade at Granite Run, aka the former Granite Run Mall in Media, Pennsylvania. So anyways, guys, that's about going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please make sure to check the links located in the description below for both the non-liquidating store and, of course, the liquidating stores. All of that will be located in the video description below. So, anyways, guys, thank you again for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed this video, and that will be it.